Green, who again later today will introduce that constitutional amendment to limit the Supreme Court to 9 justices. Good to have you on the program, and a very important day. Why do you think this amendment is needed?
Well, first let me say, Harris, thanks for having me on the show. You know, I'm a combat veteran, and my oath was to the Constitution, to defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's what this is, a big threat to the Constitution. Court packing is simply just the left's attempt to put activist judges on the court who will interpret the Constitution as a living document. It's the sole purpose is just to advance, their socialist agenda. I mean, they see government as the solution for everything, and they couldn't win at the ballot box, so they're going to try to change the rules of the game. You kind of mentioned it when you teed this conversation up. I think they just don't like our country. I mean, they want to change everything. The Electoral College, the H.R. 1 that forces California-style elections on the rest of the states and now packing the court. It's all about getting their agenda done, and they can't do it within the rules, so they're just going to change the rules.
Well, I would push back and say that you can love this nation and still try to figure out a way to win, which maybe that's what the problem is here. I mean, America has said when they voted in the midterm elections, health care is important. And we always say that the economy is important. And the president said in Ohio yesterday, as you know, Congressman Green, that all he has to do when he is pressed by Democrats going toward 2020 is tout the unemployment numbers for different groups in all of America, job creation. So it gets complicated when you're looking for a way to win. Your thought?
Well, I understand that it's challenging for them. I mean, most of the state legislatures are Republican. Most of the governors are Republican. We actually grew our majority in the Senate. Of course, we won the presidency, and this blue wave that supposedly happened in the House. I mean, if you compare to Obama's first midterm election, they lost 63 seats. We only lost 40 seats this time around. Yeah, they are having a hard time getting their message accepted by the American people. And so now, what do they want to do? They want to do away with the Electoral College. They want to force California's style of elections, 16-year-olds voting. They're doing everything they can to change the rules to advance their agenda. And I just think that's a threat to democracy. Just imagine all of those judges interpreting the Constitution as a living document. They basically can say what the Constitution ought to say, which does away with the whole legislative branch. It basically makes 5 justices a super legislature. And it's a threat to, the foundations of our government, which was to spread power amongst multiple branches. And that's the threat that I see this. It's a threat to the foundation of the country.
It is interesting, Congressman, to hear you talk about that, because that would be irrespective of whomever is in the White House or whichever party has the majority. What you're talking about is the overall look at not an interpretation of the Constitution, but actually the words therefore or thereof. Your Democratic counterpart in Tennessee, Representative Steve Cohen, introduced an amendment in January to get rid of the Electoral College, because you use that as one of the things you ticked off where Democrats are going for 2020. Here was his reasoning. Let's watch.
This doesn't give the people in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles the right to decide who wins. It gives everybody that's not in one of the targeted states in the Electoral College the opportunity to have their vote count. Right now, people in Tennessee don't count because we know the state's going to go Republican. But if it's a popular vote, people will come to Tennessee to get those votes in Memphis and other places, and it'll be a much more democratic system.
And of course, if it's a popular vote, the largest state, California, would have so many more people in general anyway, and you talk about representation. Your thoughts?
Sure, I disagree with Representative Cohen, and I think he's just disappointed that Tennessee's mostly a conservative state, and mostly our Electoral College, goes to the Republican. That's really what he's upset about. If we go with a popular vote, New York, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, and Los Angeles will determine the future of the country. And the people out here in the middle of the country won't have any say. And that's why the Electoral College is so important.
As we go forward, the Electoral College is something that Democrats also, looked at and wanted to tinker with the superdelegate situation. Why isn't it working out for them, and why go down the road this way?
Yeah, I can't completely guess their motives, but I genuinely think it's the same as House Resolution 1. It's the same as packing the court with activist judges. They're just doing it to advance their agenda. And their agenda is socialism. Their agenda is government is the savior of all. And they'll do whatever it takes, change the rules of the game to get their agenda done.
Yeah, they may be smarting over the fact, too, that the president has been able to nominate and push through 91 Article 3 judges in just about, well, less than 2 years. Great to see you. Please come
Good to
back.
see you,
We'll be
Harris.
watching
Thank
to
you.
see the news that you make with your amendment today. Thank you.